This is a test of recording how to create an area route plan for the M30T. I'm going to tap, I'm on the screen, which you can see in the top left corner is an icon that looks like lines moving back and forth with an arrow. I'm going to tap on that to get into the menu for it. I'm in the top right, on the right hand side it shows existing area routes. At the top on the right is a plus sign. I'm going to tap that to create a new one. And I'm going to, there are choices there: waypoint area, linear, slope, geometric. Simple one we are doing now is an area route, which is what I'm going to choose. On the left hand side of the screen there's a box with where you can draw lines, and below that is one where you can draw a box. I'm going to choose box. That did not work. I've tried it. So I'm going to go back and choose the upper one, which is drawing lines. Tapping in the top left corner, and then tapping other spots to add line, to add an area. Now I can drag corners to change the area as I want. When I'm done, I will tap the top left-hand corner check mark, blue circle with a check mark, to say I'm done. That area is now selected. Now on the right it says select payload load for task. I'm going to choose which aircraft, which is our M30 series. That's the one we have. I'll select the camera. I'm going to choose M30T. Now I choose which lenses. I want both the wide and the infrared. So wide is selected automatically. I'm going to add infrared by tapping on it. Now they're both blue. Tapping on OK at the bottom. Now you can choose the various parameters you want. You'll see on the left that it's drawn the flight route that it will fly, and now you can choose various parameters on it. I've selected oblique so that it is looking at the ground at an angle as opposed to just straight down. And you can so I can choose centimeters per pixel. I'll leave that as 5 at the moment. The oblique, you can change the gimbal pitch. It's currently set at 45. I'm going to drag that so that it is at minus 63. You can tap in the actual angle you want by tapping on the number, or you can drag the slider to change it. You'll see that at 63, the box on the left uses a smaller area. If I change the angle to something else, that box is larger because it has to get further away to see at 45 degrees than it does at 60. Altitude mode, your choices are relative to takeoff point, above sea level, or above ground level. And if we're doing a flat area, relative to takeoff point is sensible. If you're doing an area with a significant slope over it, you probably need to change some of those. You may need to change to above ground level. How exactly it determines that, we don't know yet. So I'm going to leave it as relative to takeoff point. Route altitude, I'm going to set that at 80 meters. Safe takeoff altitude, I'm going to put that at 40 meters. Speed, and what you want for a route altitude will depend on what you're flying over. Safe takeoff altitude, I'll just go tap the info on that. So that's the altitude that it will use to fly to the start point. So if that's not high enough, you could run into trees on the way to the start point. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to use the plus 10 to make that also 80, so that it's the same height for takeoff and that. Speed can be changed. I'm going to leave it at 2.6. Course angle, it's currently essentially 179, so it's going north-south as it flies, as you can see in the grid pattern. If I move the slider, you'll see that the grid changes to a different angle as it flies. The angle that you want may depend on what the vegetation is on the ground. It could also depend on the sun, where the sun is, so that you're looking into the sun, away from the sun, or at some other angle to the sunlight. So I'm going to set it back to a roughly 180. That I can actually set the angle to be 180. So it's exactly on that. Upon completion, you have choices of return to home, land where it is, return to start point. And the start point is not your home point. It's the start point of the grid, which you will see in the map there is a green point in the top left corner. I'm going to ask it to return to home. There's also another choice in there at the top of exit route mode, which means it would just stay there where it is and stop the thing. So I'll just leave it as return to home. If you go into advanced settings, I don't understand what all of these are yet, but target service to takeoff point, I'm not quite sure what that's about. Side overlap, you want probably at least a 50% overlap. I'm going to leave it as 70. Frontal overlap, again, you want that to have a significant overlap. And so those are your various overlaps, and you want to have overlap so that you're sure you don't miss something because it will be a slightly different angle that it's seeing it in the overlap. I'm not sure what the margin is. And photo mode, timed interval shot or distance interval shot. We'll just leave it on timed. Route start point is set. Yeah, you can set different speeds. I'm just going to leave those. So those are your various options. To go back out of advanced, to the left of the word advanced settings is an arrow that will take you back out to the main, the regular settings for this. You can change the name at the top. And I'm going to call it test area route. I don't know why it didn't take that properly. I'll start again. Test. No, spacebar doesn't do what I expect. Somehow the keyboard is gone into a very strange thing that I don't know how to change, so I'm just going to call it test for now. And so I believe that's done. I'm going to, over in the top left corner of the screen, there's something that's supposed to look like a old style floppy disk, meaning save. If I tap on that, it should save it. It has saved it. It's now marked out the area. And if I tap on the top left corner, the little down arrow beside test, I can see what the parameters are for that. And there's a pencil there in the top right corner to say you could go in and edit those things. I'm going to leave that as it is. So that's the setup for that. I'm going to stop the screen recording now.